Hello everyone and welcome to today's Sing. I've had my coffee today, so hopefully I'm a little bit sparkier than yesterday because we've got quite a bit to get through. Today we are working on our second set in the bunch of exercises I've called Voices in Transition. Yesterday I said that there are two main things that we need to look at when we are working on helping our voices through some kind of change, whether that's from illness, age, medication, gender transition, whatever it is you happen to be doing. The first thing that I suggested was go gently. We looked at that a bit yesterday. The second thing that I really want to talk about, and where we're going to begin today, is register change. Negotiating your register change is the thing that is most likely to change and become trickier to negotiate, in my opinion, and from my experience of having to deal with vocal changes when something's starting to shift. So if you can get some tips and tricks in your tool bag for how to negotiate these changes smoothly, then you'll get through any change that you're working on a little faster and hopefully a little more comfortably. First of all, what do I mean about register change? You'll hear words like falsetto and head voice and chest voice bandied around. I'm not going to go into great detail about these things. I am not a speech pathologist. I've got some understanding of it, but I'll just do the basics in terms of what I know. And at this point, I particularly want to give a big shout out to Australian speech pathologist, Dr. Kate Medill. All the good stuff that I've got has come from Kate. Any errors or things that are not quite sounding right to you, that's probably me not getting it right. So Kate hasn't reviewed any of this or checked any of it, but I do want to give her a big thanks for everything that I've learned from her and the great work that she's doing here in Australia. In terms of the register change, the most important thing to know about what is actually going on with these two sets of voices that we talk about are basically, it largely comes down to the two sets of muscles that are involved, attached to your larynx, and that are involved in making those two different kinds of voice. Essentially what's going on is one set of muscles is more active in one kind of voice, and the other set of muscles is more active in the other kind of voice. And what we want when we shift from one to the other is a nice, smooth baton change rather than a, here you have it kind of approach, which is what you get when you don't know how to negotiate that register change. In terms of the terminology, I'm going to use chest voice for this talking, speechy quality, which we tend to use when singing low like this. And I'm going to use head voice for this particular speech quality, which we also use for singing up higher. La, 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 la. Now, as a mezzo-soprano, I spend most of my time singing in the head voice register, and the chest is just for the bottom, I don't know, quarter or so maybe of my range, maybe a bit less. Chest voice is the voice we use mostly when we're speaking these days. Back in olden days, generally speaking, women who wanted to sound feminine were generally brought up to speak a little more like this. If you listen to older recordings of women speaking, this is the sound that you'll get. If you want to make your voice more traditionally feminine, working on your head voice for speech is something that will help you. However, generally speaking, as women moved into the workforce and we wanted to sound more authoritative, we worked out how to use our chest voice more. And I know as soon as I started getting on the podium, I wanted to make a lot more noise, and I started to try and speak really low in my chest voice and actually got it wrong and didn't do myself any favors vocally by speaking in that way. So if you want to, and I'm going to say it, sound more traditionally masculine or more authoritative in that way, then you might want to work on lowering your chest voice. All of these things need to be said that we all have a free, easy, most appropriate voice for us. And really that's the most important thing for you to find when you're trying to work on both speaking and singing. Don't try to be any particular kind of speaker. Just work on what feels true and comfortable for you. Learn how to access the different parts of your voice. learn how to do that safely and well, preferably with the help of a professional, and you'll find out your true voice and something that will sustain you through speaking and singing. So when we talk about register change, we're basically talking about a gear shift between two sets of muscles. If you don't get that smooth, you'll hear a clunk. I'll see if I can get the clunk happening like this. All right, that clunk worked. You could really hear that change. But what we want, and I'll see if I can smooth the clunk out, is more there was still a little clunk there, but it was less clunky. So try that for yourself. Make a loud, strong noise and just pull yourself up from low to high in your range. Some of you might have to go very high before that clunk happens. Tenors and basses generally it'll happen higher in your range. Soprano and alto voices generally a little lower. Oh. So we want to try and smooth out that gear change as much as possible. Let's start with just a little stretch of the day to get going. And for the stretch, we're going to do some tongue stretches. So to stretch your tongue, I want you to imagine you're about to say the letter K, as in K, and just hold your tongue at the roof of your mouth in that position for a count of 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, release. Okay. And then the same thing, but with a ch sound. So you're about to ch, don't actually make the sound, and hold your tongue there for a count of 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, ch, and release. And last but not least, the tip of your tongue behind the back of your bottom front teeth, and really push that blade forward at your mouth and hold that for 10. And release. All those stretches are best repeated several times. We've made our sound of the day. Let's just make one more. Have a few puppy whimpers for me. So I'm up in my head voice for those sounds. All right. So let's do some singing. We're going to start with our head voice feel. So can you make a little hooty owl sound? If you're tenor and bass, this needs to be in the higher part of your register. We will go the other way for tenors and basses too. It'll be easier for you going up. So starting in head voice, high and hooty. As you come down, two things. Keep the sound very forward. Imagine that you've got a fish hook pulling that sound forward along the roof of your mouth. So keep that sound forward and keep it soft and slidey. As you come down, imagine that your larynx is an elevator, but it's the slowest moving elevator in the world. It's only going to come down a half step. Here we go. Just let your voice change whenever it wants to. I had a little yodel there as mine changed. And there, that changed smoothly for me. I managed to keep the sound a little further forward. forward as you come up so it can change back if it wants to. And now we're going to go the other way, starting in chest. To access your chest voice, if you're not quite sure, a lot of women I meet in community choirs have never really had a conversation about how to find their chest voice. Hey, 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 just say hey, hey, and then sing it on that note. Hey, hey, hey. Now try and keep that feel for an ooh. Ooh. Now, if you're tenor and bass and you're going to be trying to swap to your head voice up here, same deal applies. Keep it high, forward, and add a little bit of hooty. Ooh, like a hooty owl. Slightly sad will help. Ooh, here we go. We're going up. And now another soft and slidey exercise to take us through the range. The lyrics for this are ski, as in the outdoor winter sport, followed by R. So we go ski, So always that larynx just relaxing a little as you come down, the sound always rolling forward, and keep that high and hooty feel, particularly at the top. Keep the exercise soft, forward, and lots of height here helps you negotiate register changes more smoothly than loud and open. Keep that fish hook in place, keeping that sound forward. Two more, I'm out. You keep going if you can. And now our song for the day. I did say yesterday we were going to look at Senzen Ina again, and we will before the end of the week, but actually I found something that's a bit more appropriate for today's task, which is just a really simple round that does move quite a bit through the register. And we're going to sing it to ooh, because Ooh, again, forward, high, hooty. Okay, tenors and basses, you might not quite be doing the swap to head at the top there. That's okay. Let's try the whole thing once through. So if you're starting in your chest voice, particularly for the soprano and alto, remember this first phrase is where your register changes are likely to happen. Stay open, keep forward. Here we go. And just keep it really gentle. And now to help the tenors and basses a little bit more with their change, their register change, we'll take it up. Okay, so it may well still start in chest for sopranos and altos, but not stay there for very long. Tenors and basses, the higher we get, again, tall, hooty, forward. Keep it all gentle. We can try this now as a canon. So what that means is I'm going to start with you and sing the first phrase with you. Then you keep going into the second part, and I'm going to double back and sing the first line again so that we'll end up singing in harmony. You can go back and sing the first phrase again once you've finished so that I can have a go at cracking out those top notes. Right, here we go. We start together. You keep going. Thanks for singing with me. Tomorrow we're going to look at accessing the chest voice, the day after, accessing the head voice specifically. And because I've talked so much in these first couple of sessions explaining stuff, Friday will just be an overall review where we put a whole bunch of those warm-up exercises and songs together. So you can basically just have a big sing at the end of the week. If there's something that you want to come back to and check, you'll be able to find all of the singing exercises for this week in one spot rather than having to listen to me gabble on again. Thank you. See you tomorrow.